I often publish excellent throw guides, but what if there were excellent throw guides of a more physical nature? I've been spending a lot of time in the woods lately, as you can see. Besides watching slow motion fires and doing pull-ups on tree branches, spending time in nature has a way of making you nostalgic. And nothing is more nostalgic than the heady days of Pokemon Go's launch in the summer of 2016. Well, sort of. I actually didn't play then, but what I do remember was the world going crazy. People walking into lakes, people playing in churches, people falling off cliffs. Did you know there's a website called PokemonGoDeathTracker.com? Around this time, pictures and videos of strange devices started popping up around the internet. These 3D printed throwing guides assisted players with throwing their balls in a straight line, and some devices even helped with curveballs. It's clear that this idea captured the imaginations of players, creators, and business people everywhere. It was a fun way of engaging creatively with the Pokemon Go craze, and seemed to provide a useful assist for players who were struggling with the sometimes unforgiving catch minigame. The idea was so popular that several startups even popped up that would sell you their 3D printed throwing guides. But there's an important question that I'm not sure these creators ever asked. Are these little plastic guides actually useful? No, definitely not. And to be honest, that's probably why this little cottage industry seems to have completely disappeared since 2016. These scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should. But it's still fun to take a look back and think about how these devices attempted to solve this problem that, let's be honest, mostly doesn't really need solving. But first, a word from our sponsor. Me! Yep, I've sold out to myself. I'm making a space traffic control game called Merchants of the Stars. In this game, you control cargo ships by clicking and dragging them, attempting to guide them to docks where they can unload. It's based on one of my favorite old iOS games, Harbor Master, which has long been removed from the App Store, an event that has had fans mourning ever since. My game is the spiritual successor they've been waiting for. Please wishlist Merchants of the Stars on Steam, linked below, and follow its development on my other channel, linked up there. So, let's have a look at all the AIM devices I found. I was a bit shocked at how many variants existed. It turns out this is quite a popular idea. We start with an example of one of the most common designs, a 3D printed throwing guide for a straight throw. This one looks like an effective design for ensuring a straight throw, and also has holes that allow for use of the ball and berry selection menus. Other than that, it's a bit cumbersome, covering a majority of the screen. It would need to be removed to do anything with the phone, even things in the game itself, like using Pokestops. Note that due to the way it hugs the sides of the phone, it's only compatible with certain phone models, in this case, the iPhone 6. For other phones, the model would need to be adjusted. The next design has a similar idea, but in a more minimalist form, allowing access to much more of the phone without removing the guide. On the other hand, the straight throw channel in the middle is a bit shorter, which won't allow you to throw as far. I'm actually not sure it's long enough to hit particularly distant Pokemon. This third design is similarly minimalistic, but extends the throw channel farther, which will probably allow it to work for more Pokemon. This design is even simpler, but in a different way. It's clearly intended to slide on the phone just for the catch, and doesn't even allow access to the ball or berry menus. As we trend more minimalist, this one is about as simple as you can get for a 3D print. It doesn't wrap around, so it's easy to put on and take off the phone, and will work with any phone model. But this also means the player is responsible for making sure it's centered on the screen, and holding it in position with the other hand. This seems a bit awkward, and also makes it unfortunately incompatible with the typical fast catch technique. A similar idea is this plastic bar, which does away with the channel idea entirely, and just provides a straight edge. Once again, the user needs to carefully position it and ensure it's straight. However, unlike the previous one, it clips onto the phone, which means it doesn't require two hands and allows fast catch. And now what you've been waiting for, the absolute pinnacle of the 3D printed designs. This absolute unit of an aim assist device is a complete phone case that looks like a Pokédex and has a slick mechanism to swing the finger channel on and off the screen. It even has magnets that snap the case shut. It's based on a slightly simpler design by another creator, but takes it to a whole other level. Now, we've seen a lot of 3D printed designs, but that's not the only option. Here's a simple design that uses only post-it notes and cardboard from a box of tea. It's not exactly pretty, but it's just as good as some of the simpler 3D printed options. And this design is simply a phone case. It's had windows cut in it for the finger channel and menu access, and then it's placed on the front of the phone. Once again, it's just as good as its 3D printed counterparts. This one is the simplest of them all, just a popsicle stick with tape to prevent splintering. And it turns out this one was actually made not in 2016 like most of the others, but in 2023, and apparently for a good reason. Earlier, I said these devices are mostly useless, but using them as accessibility aids is a use case where they could actually shine. Besides all the DIY throw guides I found, would you believe that I found 3 entire startups dedicated to selling 3D printed guides, complete with promotional videos and designs of varying quality? This one is so bad that I don't even know what to say. The Pokeaim Pokemon Auto Aimer takes the idea of the other 3D prints and just doesn't understand the point at all. Instead of a straight channel, it provides an oval-shaped pattern, which seems like it would do nothing to actually ensure your finger goes in the right direction. They claim that it works with curveballs too, but I don't see how, and their promotional video doesn't demonstrate. I do appreciate, though, that it has this over-engineered screw mechanism to tighten the device, allowing it to work with all phones. I also appreciate that this is the only design I've seen that allows you to set a precise finger travel distance by inserting a toothpick horizontally through the device. Not that this system would work very well in practice. It can't be tuned precisely enough since it has only 4 possible settings for the toothpick. Not only that, but the vertical position of the device can't be set consistently because it doesn't brace on the top or bottom of the phone. So once you remove the device, you lose any calibration for throw distance you might have figured out. The video points to whatixists.ca to buy it, which is now down because the product is bad and doesn't solve a real problem. Fortunately, the Internet Archive scraped it once in 2016. Unfortunately, it looks like this, so we don't get to know the price. From the ridiculous to the sublime, we'll next look at the Pokemon Go Aimer case. It's pretty similar to most of the 3D prints we saw earlier, but looks fairly well done. Plus, it has a pretty decent promotional video that demonstrates how it works. Unfortunately, when she first slides the case on the phone in the video, it's not even straight. But they fixed that in the next shot, so I'll forgive it. They also have really beautiful fake packaging that I appreciate. Their website is also down, of course, because this product is unnecessary and it failed as a business. But the Internet Archive shows it was priced at an actually pretty reasonable $9.99. Now, I promise I've saved the best startup for last. I present the Amazing Launcher. It actually has an interesting design, different than any of the others we've looked at, although I'm not convinced it's actually good. It uses a belt to tighten to the phone. Like the Pokemon Go Aimer case, it appears they wanted to make one product that would fit all phones, and this was their solution. Other than this strap, it has a very minimalist design, with a simple plastic channel for the finger. But it's not my favorite because of its design, it's because of its promotional video. The corporate music and writing is off the charts.
This is the Amazing Launcher, the world's best Pokemon Go Aimer.
It has some legitimately nice shots of 3D printing, along with an over-the-top origin story.
Our designer put many sleepless nights on both design and the production process to make sure of 2 things. It fits and it works.
Something about this delivery makes me nostalgic for late-night infomercials.
iPhone, no problem. Android, no problem. iPhone with a cracked screen while charging, not a problem.
And it has some absolutely classic awkward cuts.
Pull tight and snap it on the back. See, it's easy.
She even gets an excellent on a graveler. To top it off, I love the cheesy tagline.
The Amazing Launcher. It fits and it works.
Obviously, the Amazing Launcher company failed like all the others, but the Internet Archive shows its product was sold for $14.99. Not too unreasonable. Most of the straight throw aimers I've shown you work as intended. They guarantee your finger goes in a more or less straight line, and for most of them, that line is fairly narrow. It's likely that the ball will fly reasonably straight. But of course, that's really not enough. They don't do anything to ensure that you use an appropriate throw speed, or use an appropriate finger travel distance. Well, except for the one with the toothpick. They aren't very helpful at achieving nice, great, or excellent throws. At best, they're decent for guaranteeing a throw goes more or less straight and likely hits something. But this is a low bar. Just hitting a Pokemon isn't hard at all. And there's, that other problem with straight throws. They're bad and actively punished by the game. Most importantly, curveball throws get a 1.7x catch rate multiplier, making them critical to get a decent catch rate. But on top of that, while it might not be what novice players expect, many experienced players feel that curveball throws are actually easier to aim than straight throws. So, has anyone made aim assist devices to help with curveball throws? Of course. And are they good? No, absolutely not. They might even be worse than the straight throw ones. This one The Pokeboom is based on a reversed phone case, a similar design to one we saw earlier for a straight throw device. But in this case, they've cut curved channels down the side so that theoretically, a very specific, repeatable curveball can be thrown. This one is a 3D print that allows you to go to specific spots at the edge of the screen, or straight up for a straight throw. Both of these curveball-based devices don't work for the same reason. And that is that if there's anything I've learned about excellent throws, it's that every single excellent throw is different, and often wildly so. The throw for a Pidgey is dramatically different than for a Vulpix, which is different from a Lickitung, which is again different from a Celesteela. There is no particular curveball aim guide that could ever work, because to accommodate all of these different throws, it would have to provide so little guidance to your finger as to be entirely useless. Indeed, the Pokeboom curve design is not even optimized for the Rattata example that's shown, and doesn't achieve a nice, great, or excellent. The creation of all of these aimers basically stopped after 2016, with small exceptions here and there. And it's no wonder why. Not only are straight throws bad, but none of these seem to actually solve the problem of accurate straight throws in a convincing way that is worth the extra bulk. And, generally speaking, an aim assist device that is compatible with curveball throwing is impossible to make. Unsurprisingly, all the companies that were making these seem to have disappeared. Thanks for taking this journey with me back to the heady days of 2016. Comment below if you remember these devices or have one yourself, especially if you ever made one. I'd love to hear what you think of them. Please like and subscribe. Wishlist my game Merchants of the Stars on Steam, and follow its development on my other channel. I'll see you next time.